Hey guys, what's up? I just wanted to start off this podcast with Lockdown Universe and just say a humongous thank you to everybody who's been listening this year. We've got thousands upon thousands of listeners listening each week, and we are super excited. And I wanted to offer you guys something brand new. It's a small business partnership. So we would give you guys the opportunity to sponsor your small business with the podcast, and I'll do an advertisement for you if you're interested. We'd love to help you out. Feel free to email me at lockdownuniverse@gmail.com or send me a message on Facebook or on Instagram. We can get you started for as little as $50 and get you going, get you up right away, and you'll be able to reach thousands upon thousands of listeners throughout the year. So feel free to hit me up and we'll get you started. Now let's get to that podcast. Thank you. Welcome back, guys, to Lockdown Universe, home of the bizarre, peculiar, and unheard of stories of UFO legend and lore. I am glad to be back. I have some good news. I will be producing more and more episodes coming up here, more frequently. Just been having a lot of things coming up, but I'm looking forward to the future, producing more content for you guys, and it's going to be exciting. So, what I wanted to talk to you today about was a very interesting phenomenon that I've seen lately, and that is a lot of accounts popping up claiming to be time travelers from the future, and specifically, lately, it's been on the TikTok platform. So if you guys aren't really familiar with TikTok, it's basically a small video platform, short video platform that allows people to record either 15-second or 1-minute videos. And if you go on, you don't have to go on, but if you do go on, you'll see, either a 15 or a 60-second video produced by someone, usually in rapid fashion. And they try to give a lot of information in a short time. So you can gather a lot of information in a short time period from these videos, which is kind of interesting. It's just another platform for people to get information. So on these accounts, there are individuals claiming to be from different time periods, either 2028. There's an individual called the 2028 Man who claims to be from 2028 and coming back to set things right because there's a great disaster that occurs that kills off 90% of the population. There's also another individual called the 2029 Man who is in conflict with this 2028 Man, and they actually have bickering events on their accounts going back and forth claiming to be the real deal. Now, of course, we've had throughout the years different individuals, right? We've had John Titor, who we've talked about on previous podcasts, where he claimed to be from the future. He had to come back and obtain a particular computer that was required to decode some information and tried to give us some information about pending doom in the future, pending war. So we've known about these kinds of accounts for some time. Now, other accounts online include three individuals from Mexico, which is really interesting because their videos actually show a devastated wasteland and a lot of video showing what could be possibly devastation from a nuclear war. So we have these different accounts that show us some interesting footage. Now, whether or not you could obtain those kinds of videos just today, and just put them on there and just be fake, that is possible. So we always examine that, right? And that's why we have these podcasts, we talk about it. But let's talk about the other side. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. And let's say you are a time traveler, right? You are sent back from the future to try to, help humankind and avoid these apocalyptic events that occur. Well, how are you going to do that? How are you going to go back in time and try to disperse this information that you have to try to save humankind? Would you go to the government and try to talk to them and try to confirm with them that you are a time traveler? Do they have protocols in place so that if there is time travel in the future, that they already have preset codes that you would come back and confirm? I think that would probably be the way to go, right? So that you would have these preset codes if you were a special agent from the future. And these preset codes would be determined in the past. So that you could come back, confirm this secret code, like, a nuclear launch code or something, but it would be a time traveler code, and you could confirm your identity. That seems to be the most viable, reasonable, rational case, right? But let's say, on the off chance that you are a scientist, an independent scientist, and you were able to create a time machine on your own without the government's help, and the government doesn't know about you, which would be kind of bizarre. You would think the government would probably know if you're creating a time machine. But let's say they don't. And let's say you're an independent scientist and you created your own time machine like Doc Brown and Marty McFly, and you're trying to go back without any government ID, any government confirmation, no secret code, and trying to warn people about this apocalypse. Well, how would you do that, right? Would you make YouTube videos? Would you make TikTok videos and TikTok accounts to try to warn people about, these specific dates, these specific events, and these specific occurrences? Well, you could do that. That would be one way to go. So one way that these people are confirming that they are indeed time travelers is that they are announcing things before they happen. So on these accounts, particularly the one in Mexico, they are stating like sports scores before they happen, and they're taking like screenshots and posting them to try to verify themselves. They're also telling individuals about who's going to be voted in as president. And one of the accounts, I think it was the 2028 man, stated that Trump was going to be elected president, and that Biden was going to be elected president, and Trump was going to have to be forcefully removed from office. And so, they were accurate on Biden, and Trump did put up a fight, and that they had they had the Capitol issue where a couple people got killed. So you could say he, was forcibly kind of taken out, maybe a little bit there, I don't know. But these people have these accounts that can verify some information, and so it just depends on your level of suspension of disbelief, and where you would take this information and verify this information. And I think they would have a way to prove that they are indeed time travelers and have this technology and have proof, right? Not just Biden got elected, but you would have to have tons of information showing that you are legit. And I think that's where they run into some problems. I think that if we're looking at the future and like potential apocalypse issues, I think that one of the most important things we can really look at is what's the information that we have right now, right? Past behavior predicts future events, right? Future behavior. That's a well-known concept in psychology, right? So individuals who are already developing the future, like Elon Musk, already said he's afraid. He said our biggest threat is AI, yet he is developing a lot of technology that will be used in AI technology, right? Like the Starlink programs, the Neuralink programs, and other programs that and companies that he's built. So he knows about kind of what's going on in the future. These visionaries that are developing this, they know what's going to happen. And I think that if there was some sort of event that really killed off a ton of people, right? Bill Gates said it. He said it would be some sort of pandemic. Well, we had the pandemic, and that didn't kill off a bunch of people. But let's think about if there was a worse pandemic, a worse virus. That could kill off a bunch of people, sure. 100%. If you ever watch the show Heroes, that's what happens in that show. They're becomes this virus that kills off basically 99% of the population. That's something that I think would be more possible. Luckily, we didn't get that with this one. But that's always like their biggest fear, right? The other potential case, and real potential case, would be either a war between nations, powerful nuclear nations, or what's even more probable is something like the Terminator Skynet run by AI, because we will have a lot of systems run by AI. We have the Internet of Things, right? If you guys don't know what the Internet of Things is, Google search that, okay? Basically, all of your appliances will be linked to the Internet. All of our cars will be linked to the Internet. All of, your phone is obviously linked to the Internet, everything. And eventually, if the Neuralink system gets popular, people will be linked to the Internet. Your body will be linked to the Internet. So once that happens, and AI is kind of running a lot of our programs, or most of our programs, I think there's going to be a conflict between people who don't want their freedoms taken away and people who want to be part of this AI program, and the government who forces you to be part of the program. And we're kind of seeing this now with the vaccine, right? We're seeing people who do not want this vaccine, and the government, a lot of governments really are pushing it and wanting people to have it. And there's governments in Europe that won't allow you to come in unless you have your vaccine, right? The vaccine passport. It's something that people talked about months ago, and now is actually becoming a reality. So this is something that's going to be a problem moving forward for people who want to travel. They don't want to get the vaccine. How are they going to be able to do that? That's going to be a real challenge. I think there's going to be a fight between people that want to be vaccinated and don't, and want to be able to travel. And, I think it's a very legit concern on both sides. So there you have it, right? I mean, just with this vaccine, we're seeing a potential for our freedoms being taken away. You're not able to freely travel where you want to go without having the vaccine. So when you have this problem and you have people being blocked from certain locations, you're going to have interactions, discrepancies. You're going to have potential, arguments, battles, potentially wars over that. Skirmishes. So if we're going to have this problem with just vaccines, imagine if some government wanted to implant you with the Neuralink and said, you cannot partake in our society unless you get this implanted in your head. You're not going to be able to transfer money. You're not going to be able to purchase goods. You're not going to be able to go into a movie theater. You're not going to be able to go into a store. Well, isn't that kind of what's happening with the vaccine? It seems to be, right? So there you have it, right? I mean, vaccines have been around a long time. Most of us have had tons of vaccines. But, this one feels different. It feels like a lot of people are having a lot of resistance. And so I think that there's going to be a lot of issues, kind of moving forward with people's freedoms. We've already seen it with people wanting to go back to work, and they had those issues in Michigan, where they took over the Capitol. Armed military men took over the Capitol. So if there was ever going to be an issue where 90% of the population was taken out, like these supposed time travelers are talking about, well, it would probably be between individuals who thought that their freedoms were being taken away. And anytime that happens, you have the potential for war. So, that being said, I don't have to be a time traveler. I just have to read between the lines, and I think the rest of us do that as well, and see that there's a potential for a lot of problems, in the future. It doesn't have to be too far into the future, right? And I think a lot of people are going to fold, and they're, going to fold under pressure and get the vaccine, and, not feel good about it if they didn't want to take it, right? And I'm not going to say, which side I'm on, one way or the other. I think that both parties have their truths. So so there you have it. And the same thing goes for somebody who cannot take the vaccine due to an allergy or due to an illness or whatever the case is. How will they be prevented from travel? You know, that's the risk, right? That's another problem. So, moving forward, you have two big issues that these time travelers kind of bring up, is that there is some sort of great devastation that comes forward in the next few years. What that is, a lot of them don't say. But based on, what we know now and what we've seen in the past, we could say that some of these events could occur. And they could be a real turning point in humankind, human history. So there you have it, right? But we already know that humanity has moved on to a different level of existence, right? Most of us have gone to remote work, so we already know that humanity has changed by this pandemic. How much will it change moving forward? That has yet to be determined. So we'll see. But anyway, I thought that these TikTok accounts were interesting. I don't think that any of them are legit, but again, right? I don't pretend to know everything, so I mean it's possible. But what would you do if you were a time traveler and you didn't have any government authorization and any government ID, and you weren't part of the government, but you were trying to come back and warn people about a future collapse so that it didn't occur? How would you get your message out? Would it be through TikTok? Would it be through Facebook? Would it be through YouTube? Or would you choose some other method? Would you go to the government just to be made fun of, right? And have no authority and basically be looked upon as, somebody who doesn't have the authority to give this information, right? I think it would be a challenging place to be in. So, anyway, food for thought. Take it for what it's worth. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. Hopefully you enjoyed the podcast. Get out there, breathe in some fresh air. Take care of yourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually. Put in a call to your family and your friends and your loved ones. Stay connected. Follow your hobbies and your goals, passions and your dreams. And as always, continue to question the universe around you. I will be developing a lot more content moving forward and having different avenues for you guys to reach me on. I'm hoping to start a YouTube channel and get a Lockdown Universe TikTok channel as well. So anyway, guys, take care of yourselves and have a great day. Lockdown Universe out.